Good morning, Rabbi Sai. We have here a picture of Abi. He made it to Sparks on a Nation. Sparks and said, "Oh, it's chashiv." Abi in Chicago was hospitalized with appendicitis, but all he wanted in a hospital bed was a Gemara and a laptop, so he could follow his Daf Yomi shir. # Young Sparks. Thank you for the daily introduction to the shir, set up as a series of questions on that day's daf. It takes away the fear of the unknown while still keeping the suspense of what's going to happen next with appreciation. Aber from Mendel Lerner. We're having the same emails over and over, same people. It's gewaldig. I want to thank you for highlighting the points of the daf at the beginning of the shir. It's a great opportunity to take notes and to memorize the sugyas. On a side note, it's inspiring to watch live on Zoom every day how Avraham Menashe ben Chana Bracha and the Mordechai Shlomo ben Sarah Tili take such chizik from the shir and from the chevra on Zoom. Just the fact that you join us for a few moments after the shir. I do go on Zoom every morning after the shir came out. Gives them the daily dose to go on. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKudosh Baruch Hu, send them a quick refuah shleima. Now to the big warriors of Yossi Klein, questioning how many Hasidim are part of this year. You'll be surprised, it's surely in the thousands worldwide. Listen, I got a bunch of emails from Hasidim to show that they listen. That's not the point. I know there's plenty. The point is that for every Chassid that watches the shir and admits that he watches the shir, there's 5 to 10 that are in the closet somewhere. And therefore, we're trying. Next time there's a siyum, don't be embarrassed. Come out, show support. When you come, you're mechazik others to come. And there's so many that don't want to watch the shir. It's also to watch from somebody that shaves, or somebody that speaks in English, or somebody that uses a gemara with nekudas, that his son has a dog, whatever. It's a shame. It's a shame. That's what he's worried about. He's not worried about it. Here, what's your name, Tzaddik? Yankel Cohen. From? Yes! You see? Gewaldig. Yishkoyach for coming, Yankel, and Yishkoyach for saying your name. Sometimes they hide in that corner right over there. Huh? Did he really go there? And you force him up here? Gewaldig. You gotta get his real name. That's right. What's your real name, Yankel? Yankel Cohen. Come on, how? You could have said Avraham Cohen. You could have said David Cohen. What's Yankel? Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? What's your name in the back? Emmanuel. What? Oh, forget it. Barbekov. Babekov. From Queens. Gewaldig.
And he's a Navi also.
It's just, no. It's the same people. They put on a different jacket.
No, it's good.
I can always rely on you to humble me, and I love it. Long time no email, and I have my share. No need to read this out. 2 MDY stories. This past summer, my family and I went upstate. I like this because this mamish, it's unbelievable. He went to upstate for 2 days, and the first day it was a vacation nightmare. Nothing went right. I missed mincha with a minion, and I was very down. It seems like he was down because he missed mincha. The next morning, I davened in a woodburn shul. My spirit's still tzibrochen. But then I recognized the chassid. It's mamish in one thing today. I didn't do this on purpose. And he smiled at me, and I smiled back. It was none other than MDY photographer Yisrael Goldstein. That simple connection, that simple chiyuch, just flipped my mood. It gave me such warmth to see a friendly face amongst strangers. It mamish changed my entire vacation, and I have MDY to thank. Second, even more chashuv story. Last week, my neighbor Elio Yitzchok Singer and I paid a shiva call to Jeff Rasner. I hope I gave him nechama to see MDY MSP make the trip. We never crossed paths if we're not for the shir, but now after meeting him, I feel he's my family, and I share in his pain. Share in his pain. I hope Jeff, being part of the shir, has given him much nechama during this time. Bekitzer, Billyack is sponsoring the upcoming R Merkaz Besuras your hatzlach and chinuch. Okay, yeah, I lack a lot in that department. Not a big mumcha. Kol Tov, Jay Nathanson, Woodman, New York. He writes New York. WAYAWK. And finally, Yoel Klein from Brooklyn. He says that he heard a vart that says, Es haderech yelchu ba, we learn the mitzvah of Bikkur Chaylim. So he heard that the word yelchu, you have to know when to leave. You have to go, you have to leave also when you're there for too long, like we spoke yesterday. Fine. Should we go weiter? Okay, yeah. The koilel, may we always be able to support Torah, may the Torah protect us from any harm. The Masechta, ein Sgula k'Yakov Ya'alak. The month. Lili Nishmas Zechrya ben Moshe, Lili Nishmas Sal ben Moshe, and Lili Nishmas Murni Rav Avraham David ben Dov. The heilige Bas Ayin, whose yahrzeit is today. The Bas Ayin's menorah is being auctioned off. The covered Chanukah. You know who else's yahrzeit is today, Rabbi Isai? The author of the Gemara, Ravina.
Between 300 and 600.
Ravina Ravashi. Ravina's yahrzeit is today. We're learning his heilige Torah that he wrote. And the first month of art is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. You want to say something about your auction? Something?
There's an auction.
Okay, good.
If you like
the Stefansky auction,
the Stefansky auction, your cousin.
Yeah, my cousin.
If you like things about Tanya,
I'm joking.
I'm just saying.
Okay, but if you want to say it anyways, you can say. The first month of art is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. Zechus for his nieces Shiduchim, and I want to welcome. I know there's a few. What do you guys call yourself? Stalin is Kalin or Kalin Stalin? In America, it's like because I get confused. Over there, they keep on saying the Rebbe is making a chasana when tonight. So there's hundreds, maybe thousands that flew in from all over the world. Over 1,000 flew in? Wow. For the chasana tonight, so mazel tov to the Rebbe and the Mishpacha and all the Hasidim that were mishtatev. And Rabbi Cheknow is here. Huh?
Where's the guy?
His youngest kid.
Yeah.
It's his youngest kid. The Rebbe still has kids that get married. It's unbelievable. That's how young he was when he became Rebbe. All right, Rabbi Isai, we're holding in the Mishnah all the way in the bottom of Daf Aleph Amud Beis. Huh? What are you guys saying? There's a lot of the items now woke up. They were a little down, now they woke up. It's gewaldic. Here in Eretz Yisrael, it's a little dreary outside. It's raining. It's actually Gershon's favorite weather. Loves it. But some people it puts them in a mood. But we got out of it. What? I didn't get to the Mishnah. Oy Veizmir. Where? Ay. Okay. You know what? So let's get out of this thing here for a second. 1 second. Says the Gemara, Tanya. Loy yirchatz imoy ba'ambati. So here's the picture on the screen. Beautiful picture from yesterday. There's a guy in the bath, in the pool. And he's not allowed to benefit from the guy that jumped off the diving board, the guy that broke the diving board. He's not allowed to benefit from it. Why? Because now, as we described yesterday, the water level was low. Every inch that it goes up, it gives the guy in the bath more hana. So he can't bathe with him. And he cannot sleep with him in a bed, ben doila, ben ktana. Whether the bed is large or small, Divri Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir is always of the opinion that we have to be choishesh, we have to be geyser. So even if it's a time where you don't want the other person's body heat, it's summer, it's too much for you, you still can't sleep in the same bed. Divri Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, G'dayla, a large bed, b'maisak shamim, you're only not allowed to sleep when it provides hana, b'ktana, b'maisak chama, Mutter. If it's a larger bed, it's not going to provide you any hana because you're on this side, he's on that side. Great. And a smaller bed. In the summertime where it's too hot, it's the opposite of benefiting and enjoying mutter. Then it's mutter. In other words, the review is not geyser ever. You could bathe. This is a new thing. You can bathe with him in a large pool because the water level is not going to make a difference one way or another. And you could go into a sauna. A sauna, when you go in, second person that comes in actually detracts from whatever's going on from the schwitz. So you're not benefiting the other person, you're just harming the other person. So that is mutter. Avol meisev imoy alamita voichel imoy al shulchan. Allowed to sit on the same bed, allowed to eat at the same table, but not from a serving dish. Because if you leave over, you have a certain amount of chalt in the bowl. If you leave over a little bit more than your portion, now you're benefiting the other guy. But you're permitted to eat from a bowl that has that much food in it that you're not going to finish it, it's going to go back. That the leftover goes to the owner, and therefore the other guy doesn't benefit from you leaving over anything. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored in schos for continuing Hatzlacha and limud hatorah. Now let me just get back to the other slides over here. And this is his last, Moshe Cohen's last sponsorship. Starting today, we have another one. Okay. So, I got to this slide. I forgot to show this one. If I am in a fight with my neighbor, and I live in Eretz Yisrael, and I have beautiful orange trees and grapes growing in my yard, and because it's Shemitah, everybody could come in and eat the grapes, eat the fruit. Is there something I could do to prevent this guy I hate so much not to come in and eat my grapes? That's what we're going to learn today. The other thing is, I didn't know how to spell his name in Hebrew. Elon Musk said, "You, Eli Stefansky, are more than enough for me. You can't have any enough for me. Am I allowed to drive in a Tesla?"
Yes.
You're so sure. Okay, Givaldi.
He's a guy. He's a guy.
And what if he's not? How do you know he's a guy?
Shake is coming.
Let's say he wasn't a guy.
Yeah, you changing the scenario.
First of all, I don't want to get banned from Twitter, so say only nice things right now.
Nice things, a nice guy. Nice.
Okay.
He can't make. He can't.
Great.
Right there.
So that's what we're going to see. Can I answer something on you, even though I don't own it anymore? I owned it. I used to own the Tesla when I manufactured. Then I sold it to you. Can I answer? Can I put an isser on a chayfetz that shall last forever? Similar to, We're going to see, right? Similar to hegdish. If I make a chayfetz hegdish, even if I sell it, okay. And finally, this is an unfortunate thing, what happens all the time. A person gets upset at his kid. I'm taking you out of the Yerusha. I've heard it with my own ears. Somebody once doing that. You're out. That's it. You're out of the Yerusha. I already called the lawyer. I already changed my tzava. Could you be madr hana your kid from a Yerusha? What happens if you say, your mother from my nechasim, I don't want to have anything to do with you. You went off the derech, you became a chassid, you became a litvak. It happens. You're out. Now what? So says the Mishnah. So this is a Gavaldic drawing from Yoshi. I like it a lot. The Avos, the Ran explains, mamish like this. People are eating with their face into the food. They're mamish pressing away. And we're going with the thing today, Hasidim. If you look closely, the Chassid is the only one eating with a fork and knife. The Litvak, that looks someone like me, his face is mamish in the food. Chassid, polite, knife, fork, the whole zach. Okay. Huh? Anyway, the point is that these poyalim, they're coming back from a very hard day of work. They're going to eat everything. Whatever's there is finished. I don't care how much. It was like a behema. They eat like a behema mamish. This is what a trough, this is what an animal eats from. This is what they're eating from. So since he's one of these workers, construction worker, whatever, guy that works physically, had a hard, rough, tough day, he's going to come home and finish it all off. So if he doesn't finish it all off, he's being mahana the other fresser. The other guy gets a little bit more to eat. And that's also. And if I'm moved from you, I can't work with you. You can't benefit from me. You're moved from me. You can't benefit from me when you're working in the vineyard. I soften up the dirt, and now because of me, you have it easier. Divrei Rabbi Meir. You could work there as long as you keep your distance. What does Rabbi Meir hold? Like before, we're geyser. A small bed for a big bed, the summer for the winter. Distant for clothes. You might forget. You might work close to each other without paying attention, and you're going to be mahanim. Stay away from him.
Not an uman, it says.
What?
Not an uman. The second one.
You shouldn't go to Uman? What are you trying to say? Okay, very funny. V'lo yasi my boom. B'karov loy pligi da'asir. Let's look at Avi. He's not happy. Look at him shaking his head. He's turning
What
red.
it means is if you are a person.
Here, stand up, the two of you. What happened? No.
If you take a nether on someone else, or if you're not going to, it doesn't even walk you to Uman because you're being so nasty to other people.
Oh. Says Racham Epstein that if you take a nether against another person, Rabbi Nachman doesn't want you Numan, and I'm telling you, you're going to get slack for that. Rabbi Nachman wants everybody Numan. It doesn't matter what kind of affair you did. Hey, Yush, there's no, what are you talking shtuyot? But I hear it's a good way to answer that apikairos. That yeah. Okay. All right. Zokti Gemara. Bekarov loy pligi da'aser. Ki pligi berachai. Now everybody's in agreement over here. There's no machlokes when they're working next to each other in the uman, in the vineyard, that it's aser. You're not allowed to benefit from somebody that your mother had know from. Meir is the opinion that there's a gzeira, even though right now it's okay, they're far, they're distant from each other, but what if they get close to each other? Rabbanan say, there's no gzeira. Says the Mishnah Daf Yomi Beis Amud Aleph, new sponsor, that we should all have the shas to never give up. Stay positive and keep going forward. I like it. It's the daf. You got to keep on going forward. Says the Mishnah, the official Mishnah. So before Shemitah, no problem at all. Here's the picture. You have fruit that is perishishis. It's the fruit of the 6th year. There's no problem at all. Regular fruit. So the owner has all the right in the world to say that his fruit is usher on his friend. That guy in the picture is the mudder. He is the subject of the neder. He's usher because the guy was madder him. The guy said, you can't, it's not going to be confusing there with the mudder madder. I just threw it in there. So that's not the owner. That's a visitor. What he's doing here and picking fruit is usher. Why? The guy said, you can't have any anah for my fruit. What's noitais? Here's this picture. Noitais is he's outside of the field, and it's still the 6th year in this case. He said it, all the fruit is usher. So it doesn't matter where the guy's standing, whether he's in the guy's backyard, outside, ripping off fruit from the tree from the outside, it's all usher. Yeah, Hamud Ano, right? I didn't say these fruits, but he's a mudar Ano. He's usher on his belongings, on all the stuff. Okay, yeah, it does make enough community. He's mudar Ano mechavera. He said you can't have any benefit from me. We're gonna see if he says this fruit, that exactly the difference. Any other techsadei. But if his nether happened on Shemitah, here, no big difference. It just so happens to be that the sign says you can walk in and take my fruit. Paris Hefker Shviz. Right? What did my neighbor write? He doesn't watch the shirs, so it doesn't matter. He wrote, huh? Oh, that's right. He wrote, all the paros in my backyard are mutter to take. A big sign. Although I asked him about it. I took him to task, of course. I couldn't let it. He's like, I said, could I have one of your cows? He says, what are you talking about? I said, you said all the cows are mutter. He says, what do you say? I said, come. And I showed him the sign. He goes, oh, okay, fine. Yeah, my neighbors love me. So, but they really put up these signs. Fruit, come into my backyard, come whenever you want, take fruit. Ubashvius, he made a nether on Shemitah and he says, you cannot benefit from me. Now, he said, you can't benefit from me. But he has no right to tell him not to benefit from his oranges on the tree. They're not his. Whose are they? They're hefker. But in a year, sadeu. Now, the sada is also hefker at the end of the day. If it wasn't hefker, nobody could get fruit from anywhere. So when the Torah says that Shemitah, you're allowed to take fruit off the tree, it means everything becomes hefker. The tree, the field, everything. You don't have the right. The owner of the Esrig farm over here, what is it? That's the guy's name? Halas. He has no right to tell people not to take esrogim. I actually saw, this year I think they didn't, last Shemitah, he provided goyim to like cut it nicely so that people don't destroy it. Because people come, they go, and they break those branches that take years to grow. This year I don't think he had. But anyway, my esrogim are hefker, but nobody can walk into my thing, and it's all netted and everything. He can't do that. You have to go in. Nevertheless, you shouldn't go in there. Murg will explain. But he could eat from this picture right over here, outside of the field. Because, again, the owner of the field, of the tree, has no right to be madr hana, the fruit. They're not his fruit. And he doesn't have an issue walking into the guy's field because he's not in the field. He's on the outside of the fence. Great. There's a guy that walked into a chasana on his hands. Maisa shahaya. He walked in on his hands, and the Dayan thought he's doing shtick, but it's like during the chuppah. Like, what are you doing? He said, I made a shvuah that I'm not going to step foot into this guy's chasana. No, so there's ways out of a nether. You can't go in, pick from the outside, do it this way, that way. If he made a nether on food only, before Shemitah, because the nether is only on the food, so he's allowed to step in the field. Maybe he'll take the food. You're allowed to step in the field. But he can't have the fruit because he made a nether. He said, you can't eat any of my food. But if he made the nether on food during Shemitah, he has no right to stop him to come into the field because there's no nether on the field. The nether is only on the fruit. And he doesn't have a right to make a nether on fruit. It's not his fruit. So you're allowed to eat his fruit and go into his field and eat it. Says Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel Damar Tevayu Nechasim Elu Alecha Lifnei Shvius. So here I did a little thingy. There's a difference, a very, very big difference, and that's what we're going to be learning today. These two concepts. Nechasim Elu, where a guy points and says this object right over here, this Tesla, or Nechasai, my belongings. Now, Nechasim Elu, if I were to ask you which one should last longer, which one should endure even selling and dying and everything? Nechasim Elu. Nechasim Elu is red. It's much stronger. If I make a nether on this object, I say this object should be usher to you. Now, if I take this object and I give it to somebody else, you are still usher in that object. Maybe. Nechasai means my belongings are usher to you. Now, if I sell it, it's not mine anymore. So I didn't mean that you should be usher then. So that's why nechasai is much lighter and easier than nechasim elu. You see, hold on, can you move that box for a second? Thanks. Nechasim elu, you're pointing, you're saying this object, you're talking about object. Nechasim is just generally talking about himself. My objects, my nechasim. You're not specifying a specific object. So Rabbi Shmuel Damar Tevayu Nechasim elu alecha lefnei shvius, if he says the really strong lashon, nechasim elu, I'm talking about a specific object. So it remains also the object even when it's not your object anymore. You hear? Because it's similar to Hegdish. I'm putting an Isser on an object. Now, even though the object just became Hefker, the object is Hefker today because it's Shemitah. I put the Isser on you. I put this Chayfetz, when it was owned by me, I put an Isser on it. So even though it's outside of the field, it's inside of the field, doesn't matter. Even though it's Shemitah. But if he made the neder when it's not his anymore, yes, you can go into the guy's field, So they hold that I could take an object and put an isser on it and put on isser forever. And the isser remains even when you're not the owner anymore. And there's another chiddush here that if I make a neder on Shemitah, I can't go into the guy's field. The guy that's usher on the fruit, he can't go into the field. That's a big chiddush. That's a chiddush. Now, what we're going to see today is very interesting. Nobody argues on this.
Why is that?
What?
He could also his field. He can't also the fruit.
No. When he asks the fruit only, you can't go into the field. That's the chiddush. Of course, I can ask the field. I'm saying I ask a fruit, you can't go into my field. So there's no suspense. We're going to finish off the sugya exactly like this, that a person could answer when he says, Nechasem elu, when he talks about this object, he could leave that isser forever. So, theoretically speaking, Elon Musk could say, this Tesla is usher to you forever, and you can't go into any Tesla even after he sells it. If he says, Nechasai, my belongings, what I own today, I don't want you to benefit from. So he's limiting it to when he owns it. But when he doesn't own it, when it's hefker, when it becomes Shemitah, or he sells it, or he dies, let's say, it's not his anymore after he dies, so then the Isser dissipates. Says the Gemara, V'Rabbi Yochanan v'Rish Lakish d'Amar Tarvayu. Yeah, I know. We said it already. We're done with that sugya. If he says the word nechasai, go back second to the thing. Nechasai alecha, it's the lighter lashon, not nechasam elu, nechasai, my nechasam. Lefnei shvius, if he says it before Shemitah, ein yoritoch sadeyu, ve'noichem en anoitos. He can't eat the fruit, he can't go into the field. Higia shvius, after he made the neder. You hear? After he made the neder. Now he didn't make a new neder. After he made the neder, all of a sudden Shemitah comes. Ein yoritoch sadeyu. He continues to being asked to go into the field. Aval oichalu es hanoitos. It would seem like, says the Gemara, that now Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish argue that if you say nechasai, that the Isser leaves once it doesn't become yours. Once Shemitah comes in, Shemitah's here, the fruit are not yours anymore. You hear? Shemitah's here, the fruit aren't yours. So the Isser also left. You were only able to answer it on your friend when it was yours. Shemitah came, the fruit isn't yours. Okay, so the Isser leaves. So there's an idea in the Rav Dessler talks about this. He talks about the idea called Nekudas HaBchira. The Bchira is like a scale. There's a point of Bchira that you have, and you have to work on your Bchira. In other words, as a mashal, let's say your wife gets really upset at you. So almost no one in their right mind will take out a gun and kill her. So that's all the way on the top of the Bechira. That's not even a Bechira. You're not going to do that. It's who's going to do something like that? So it's not. A few Meshugayim out there in New York. Whatever. It happens. Even there it's all unfortunate. Fine. So it's not going to happen. Now, actually, no, it happened on, you remember on Shabbos in Gimel. Fine, we're not going to go there, but okay. So, and then, if your wife gets you really upset, it's probably not going to happen that you're going to literally love it. Oh, I love that. Could you say it again? It's geschmack to my ears. Enjoy her yelling at you. So that's on the bottom. The middle is, you're gonna get upset. You're gonna retaliate. You're gonna say something not nice. So that's where you are. You're in the middle. That's your nekudas b'chira. It's like a sliding thing. You have to work until you get to the bottom, until it doesn't bother you at all. I'm saying that just so we understand a little bit the sugya. I don't know if that helps. Maybe I just ruined the whole sugya. The point is, hold on, I'm in the middle of explaining. So at the end of the day, we're saying that Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish, hold it for a second. I'll listen to you in a second. Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish We think that they're all the way up here. They're in a big machlokes, a big fight. And we're taking it lower and lower. Finally, by the end of the sugya, there's zero machlokes. They're 100% in cahoots, in line with Rav and Shmuel. Yeah, what were we saying? Sorry for disturbing you. Yeah.
I found when my wife is really, really angry and I look her straight in the face and say, thank you so much for helping me work on myself, it gets her more angry.
The guys on YouTube always say, could you repeat what the guy says?
Can you repeat the shtus?
That one I'll repeat. Fine, I'll repeat. He says that it's a very good idea. If your wife ever gets upset at you, you say, thank you very much for helping me work on my midas, and that actually makes her more upset. That's the biggest
They'll
nekama.
still get to the place that you told me on the top.
Yeah. Fine. Zog the Gemara. Lema, Balkam, perhaps here's the machlokes. The Rav and Shmuel Sabri, the first sheet does hold. A person has the right to say that this object is usher, like Judah said, what? How's it possible? He has the right to say this object is usher, and even when the object leaves his possession, his rishus, completely like by hefker, it still remains usher. A person doesn't have the right. Okay, says the Gemara, that can't be. Why? Is there anybody that even holds such a thing that you cannot do it? Of course, you can take an object and make it also your friend forever and ever. Because if not, go back to the chart for a second. When it says, Gershon, I need that button. Please do me a favor. Get me a button. I need to be in charge to do. I can't keep on saying, get me in charge. Fine. Yeah. Okay. Be'ezer Hashem will happen one of these days. So, no, he said about it. He went like this. He was like, no problem. You don't even have to know what he said. You know what he said. Okay. So, if you notice, Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish are talking about the green case. They never mentioned the red case. If Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish hold that it goes back, that a person doesn't have a right, they argue on this concept, that Elon Musk doesn't have a right to ask a Tesla forever, it goes back. So let them say it in the red case. That's the better case. That's the stronger case. I point at the Tesla and I say, this Tesla you can never drive. Come Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish and say, not like Rav and Shmuel. You could drive it. Once a guy buys it, you could drive it. They should argue in the red case, and of course, we'll understand the green case. The green case is lighter. Of course, if in the red case, Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish hold that a person can't answer an object forever, so certainly when he says nechasa in general, nechasa means as long as I own it, and when I don't own it, you could use it. Besu, and another question, we learned in about 5 days. It says in the Mishnah, everybody agrees to this idea that what? It's not a person tells his son, you can never benefit from me. What's halacha mace? The guy dies, Yerusheno. You get a full Yerusha. Reb Dava Kaplan heard the Maisa from him. Maisa Shahaya, a person became a Baal Tshuva. Mother said, you have zero na. She donated all her nechasim to bird research. And then the story is that she forgot to sign the document, whatever. It was one of those moifsim. But Maisa Shebchayim, I don't have nothing to do with you. Baal Tshuva, get out of here. Fine. Yerushena, but if he says, if he says that even after I die, you're also to have Daf Yomi Beis Amud Beis. Sponsored by Yankel Cohen, the official MDY MSP. L'schuz being able to support limud hatorah and to finish shas with the rebellion. Emeis lo yiroshenu. Once he says such a lashon that it happens even after death, no Yerusha. The Ran points out, not everybody agrees with him, but the Ran points out that lo yiroshenu means he does yarshin him. Just he can't benefit from it. He gets, that's terrible, no? He gets $100 million in the bank, but he can't have any benefit from it. But the Ran explained, no, there is a benefit. There's a way to get it out through other people, this, that. But you do get it, you just can't benefit from it. Okay. But what do you see? But the guy is dead. He's in the grave. Once you're in the grave, you don't own anything. And you don't own it, your son can't benefit from it. So what do you see? That you have the right to take an object and say that this object is also on my son, even when the person is not the owner anymore. He's in the grave. Everybody agrees with that. There's no machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish in that Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Shani Hachad Amar Le B'chayav U'B'Moisai, because he said mefurish. Once a person says mefurish, that it should last after his death. But over here, he didn't say mefurish. He said nechasai. Nechasai elu, he said. Nechasim elu. He didn't say mefurish when it should last and when it shouldn't last. Akal panim, the Gemara says mekomokim kashya. We still have the remaining question. Why was Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish machlokes on the green case of nechasai? They should have said it in the much better case of nechasim elu, the much stronger case, and say that even when he says a very strong lashon, this particular item should be ushered to you forever, or he didn't say forever, but he meant forever, or he didn't mean whatever he meant. It doesn't last forever. Once it becomes Shemitah and Tefker, it doesn't last. Ella, says the Gemara. Again, we're going down on the level here. Ella ben nechasam elu kulam lo pligi. When he says nechasam elu, he says the red case, everybody doesn't argue. Ki pligi ben nechasai. Okay, fine. So we have a machlokes, one machlokes. They agree. Now the Gemara is holding in a place. We just went down on the scale. There's an agreement. There's still machlokes. There's an agreement. Everybody agrees on the red case. The chasam elu, everybody agrees, lasts forever. If you don't use such a strong lashon, you just say my nechasim. But as long as I own it, but once I don't own it, it becomes hefker, or I sold it, or I died, then we have a machlokes. Rabbi Shmuel Savri loishn nechasam elu loishn nechasai adam moiser. A person has the right to ask for an object forever. The green case is less, and therefore, even Adam Moiser means after it's not his anymore, a person does have the right to answer it, but not when he says the lashon of nechasai. Says the Gemara, how could that be? That they hold such a thing? But not. We learned in the Mishnah. Here, this, by the way, I did myself. I'm very, very proud. I don't know. Here, you see his hand? Look at his hand, pointing downwards. I took his hand. Mamish, unbelievable. Yoshi would be jealous. Pointed upwards. Mamish, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Put it in a different location. You can't even tell. I drew the whole thing. Fine. When a person says this house is very different than he says your house. L'beischa. Again, it's the same idea. Bayizeh means I'm answering on myself. I'm answering this house, this object. Beischa means when it's yours. Yours. Says the Gemara, it says in the Mishnah, he doesn't say this house. This house would mean forever. Doesn't matter when and who owns it. But he says your house. I'm not going to ever buy your field. But once the guy dies, it's not his anymore. Or he sold it, it's not his anymore. Mutter, you're allowed to go in there. In other words, how could Rav and Shmuel argue in this case? They must agree to Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish in this case. It says before in the Mishnah. There is a difference. If a person says L'beischa, it becomes mutter after the guy expires, after the guy gives it up. But if he says this case, he points at the house and he says, I'll never go into this house. It doesn't matter who sold it and who died. He can never go into the house. So you see a huge enough community between talking about the object and talking about the person. Ella, says the Gemara, finally, and this is what we said all in the beginning, there is absolutely no machlokes. Going back to this case, there's a difference between nechasai, there's a difference between nechasim elu. Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish are talking about the green case. Rabbi Shmuel talking about the red case. Rabbi Shmuel agreed to Rabbi Yochanan in the green case, and Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish agreed to Rabbi Shmuel in the red case. There's actually two cases, and there's no machlokes. So, what about our Mishnah? Our Mishnah is talking about nechasim elu. When a person points and says these items are asur, so they become asur to you even if Shemitah comes along. These fruit are asur, or my nechasim are asur. These fruit are asur, becomes asur even when Shemitah comes and takes it away from you. Okay? But if a person says nechasai, then it expires. Once it's not yours anymore, he says my nechasim, so once it's not his, either he died or it becomes hefker, whatever, then you're allowed to benefit from it. The zero machlokes. Okay. You know what? We could just go to the Mishnah. We'll be fine. But if it's Shemitah, you cannot go into this field. Why is it that he's permitted? Let's see if we go back here. Yeah. He's permitted to stand outside of the fence and eat the fruit. Why? Because it's not the guy that was mother's fruit. It's hefker. Aranam afkara. The field is also hefker. In this case over here, where the tree is all the way by the fence, and he has another way to get the fruit, then he doesn't have a heter to go into the guy's field. This is just a general rule. On Shemitah, if I'm a bad guy, I'm a guy, I'm very particular about my garden, I say, don't go into my garden. So you can tell me, you have no right to tell me not to go into your garden. It's not yours, it's Shemitah. But if there's a way, it's hanging onto the sidewalk, then I could tell you, don't come into my garden. And the same thing over here. It's a nether. It's okay. What is that? Your alarm clock? No, that's fine. But what? I'm just curious. Tell me that's an alarm clock. It's a phone. That's your phone ring? Okay, fine. Okay, so it's Beseder. No, Bahamas. I'm just curious. We're just concerned. You're allowed to go into the guy's field. But what if, 1 second, before you close the Gemara, a very important round here. I'm just concerned you go in there and you might chill out. Now, so that's the problem, Xera. Remember, by Bikkur Cholim, you're allowed to stand by the Cholah. I'm not so concerned that you're going to chill out over there. Over here, I'm concerned you're going to chill out. What's the difference? Very simple difference. It's very normal. The derech is when you go to visit somebody, you sit down. You don't stand. So the fact that you're standing gives you a constant reminder that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be sitting. But when you go into a field, it's the opposite. The derech is to stand. Nobody brings a lawn chair with them when they go pick fruit. The derech is to stand and pick fruit and eat. So then I'm concerned that you might stick around longer than necessary, and that's also because you mother and over the guy. Have a wonderful day.